All right. It would appear that we are live, folks. Live. I see your little guy there in the chat.
Pause.
Who the what the? All right. Hello, everybody there in the chat. Howdy, that one weird kid. Hi. It's weird, too, because I got my chat sort of going on the live chat as sort of the reverse of what I'm seeing in the actual chat. So it's kind of funny. It's streaming down from one side, but then the other side. That's fine. We'll figure it out. All right. Well, this is the big night. So welcome to the Lovecraft tapes. I am Jeremy, your keeper of arcane lore. And tonight I am joined by our composer in residence, Chris Parker. Hi, Chris.
Hello. Hi.
Yeah, we're just chilling here on a Saturday night and thought it'd be fun to do some streaming. So tonight we are thrilled to debut the beautiful theme music that Chris has painstakingly composed for Case 15, The Crosses. Now, this suite, would you call this a suite? I think of it as a suite.
A little bit. The way that I actually arranged it, it does have like sections, but they are kind of, I wouldn't say they're subtle. You know what I mean? There are three parts to it. The reference you gave me definitely does have like defined sections. But
yeah, we'll deep dive into that after the listen here. But I just want to, to me it's a suite, so I just say the suite runs about 10 minutes. So we're going to play it in its entirety. We're going to mute ourselves so that you may enjoy. And headphones are highly, highly recommended. It's that good. And then we'll be back to talk with Chris about his creative process. And please note, to the side of your screen, probably that side of the screen, there is a section for Ko-fi tips at ko-fi.com/Lovecraft tapes. And I just wanted to let you know that any gratuity donated at that link during this live broadcast will go to Chris directly. I mean, at the very least, this man deserves a beer, right? At the very least. Also, any messages of praise you send to Chris with your Ko-fi donation will appear on screen. So let's keep it clean, shall we? He's a taken man, so don't try to pick him up. All right. All right. And now, without further ado, let's sit back, close our eyes, and imagine a California coastal town in 1974 that's about to undergo a Lovecraftian transformation. Okay. Wow. That was that is incredible. I mean, just amazing, Chris.
Thank you.
Amazing stuff. Yeah. You know, when the genesis of this idea was obviously California in 1974. I gave you one album that I thought might help invoke the time frame, and that was Mike Oldenfield's uh, Tubular Bells album. Now,
Yeah.
everybody out there in La La Land will know that Tubular Bells wasn't just a song that was in The Exorcist. It was a whole album, conceptual album. And there's a whole backstory. I encourage you to go listen to any podcast or read any history about that particular gentleman and the genesis of that album, because it's amazing. Um, but so those were the beats, or those were the thematic overtones that I thought, that's all I had to say to you. And this is what you come up with. I mean, it makes me so happy because everything is there. When I listen to this track, it feels like a conceptual album, and I can see the beats of the story that I had already planned in the music. And you don't know what I've planned.
No.
You only know the time and the place. And so how is it that you read minds? I don't understand that part of it.
I mean, what I've told people is that, like, I feel like you, uh, the vibe I always get from you is that you would kill me, or not you would kill me, is that you would kill at improv shows with giving, like, one word, suggestions. Because, previous, projects that we've worked together on,
Mhm.
you've, kinda just given me free rein and, like,
Mhm.
trusted with, like, which is really good, and I think that comes from a place of you giving, uh, a lot of trust to the people you work with,
Mhm.
to just, like, "You can create things, right?" Because well,
Yes.
because also you also come from a lot of, like, creative background, right? So
Mhm.
you kinda get it, right? So, I think it's less that I read minds and more that, like, uh, I have enough background of, like, you know, you know what makes you have certain things that stand out to you, right? So you said,
Mhm.
like, okay, I really like these parts of this album. And you didn't front load it, right? You said, like, I really like this album because it's very creative. There's a lot of really cool things that stand out. You didn't tell me what parts you liked,
Mhm.
but I listened to it and there were like certain parts of the album, right? So like there was like certain things that I picked up on where it was like 20 minutes, like the first song
Yeah.
of like variations on a theme. And there were certain parts that I tried to replicate. I went through like 7 different iterations of this song where I like scrapped like 7 different ideas.
Mhm.
But there were certain things where I'm like, okay, this part stands out, this part stands out, this theme stands out. And I was like, I like this part and I like this part. And I think this could work. And I think this could go with the setting. And then I was like, well, maybe other things from this era. Like I also thought of like, well, when I think of 70s and I think of California and I think of this, I thought of like other albums that like stood out to me from this time were
Mhm.
like Electric Ladyland, um,
Mhm.
Jimi Hendrix,
Mhm.
and uh, Ziggy Stardust or Rise and Fall of Ziggy Stardust by David Bowie, right?
Yeah.
So like I pulled a lot of like Moon is Daydream and All Along the Watchtower
Mm.
into this. So
Yeah,
does
and
that answer your question?
yeah, yeah, to a certain extent, for sure. Like, for me, like I have certain. For 1 minute, I'll be like, okay, we have some goblin right here at the front, right? You get that
Mm.
sweet guitar, just doom, 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 and I'm like, oh, I just get chills. I get hard down there, and it's like, I mean, Goblin does it to me every time. I immediately think Suspiria. Like my mind goes straight to a movie soundtrack, and but then you kind of back off on that a little bit, and you get a little easy going, little like coastal town, California. It feels like you're settling into that time and place, and I love it because it's a lull that is sort of not really where it seems to be cheerier than it is, and I
Mhm.
love that layer of like almost like, hey, it's laid back surf town, but then the other parts come in, and you've got the mystical chimes going, which I love. That sort of that reminded me of like Phantasm, a little bit of sort of mysticism going on, and then you segue right into the sort of digital alien music, right? They have deep, 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 like right in the background, and for plot reasons I cannot say, but there that sort of fit in with like a thematic, but because we're already trying to do like in the 70s, Bigfoot and all the sort of the cryptids, but also aliens, but also this, we're trying to throw all that stuff in, so you're hitting on all these little notes that I thought uh, you know dovetailed perfectly with the way that I'm attempting to tell this brand new story, which is even when you compare this suite with the previous soundtracks, the previous case soundtracks, it's not as creepy. It's a completely different tone, which I love because we're starting anew, and this I think captures that emotion or captures that feeling perfectly. And then of course you got the sweet ass guitar solos there at the end. I mean, it's I saw that Chiro is like just going nuts on that.
Yeah, one thing that, I thought about kind of, while I was recording the guitar solo and a little bit while I was mixing it was something that, Gabe said in the last Q&A,
Mm,
um, when you guys were talking about, like, your favorite albums, I
yeah.
think, where he was talking about, like, just shit that he could just rip lines of cocaine to.
Yes.
It was the kind of music he liked, and I was like, I hope Gabe would like that.
Yeah, I was hoping
So,
he'd pop in, but he's a busy guy these
yeah,
days, so we don't.
that's
Who
all
knows
good.
about that? But yeah, I'll make sure that he gets a good listen of it too, because I think he really would
For sure.
enjoy it. And it also, like because I'm a child of the '60s and '70s, this hits a sweet spot for me, big time. And I could imagine that this would be something that my mom would have on LP in the
Mm,
background, you know. So it really, I mean, I picked the time and place, but you just happened to create something that struck that chord in me right away. And I've listened to this like several times, obviously. Uh, and not even when I'm thinking about like, oh, I don't know about those bongos or those drum beats. And then I'm like, no, it's got to be there. Like as soon as I like get on, I'm like, okay, why is this here? And then it makes sense. Like you're tying those thematic elements together further on down there. It's like you couldn't even imagine the song without those elements at the front end because they're here to tie it up at the end. It has a
mhm.
completeness to it.
Yeah, I initially was gonna do, like, not to talk about, like, what ifs, I initially was gonna do, like, I I spent 45 minutes in a Guitar Center trying out different, um, tambourines while some
Uh,
dude was, like, just ripping on a drum set. And so I was just like,
absolutely,
"Ching, ching,
positively, no
ching."
stairway.
Yeah, no, it was crazy. I don't understand how people work there and just, like, still have, a will to live. But I was just doing that, and then, like, some dude was like, "Yeah, I agree, this one's better." And I was like, "Alright, thank you, man. I appreciate you saving my life." But I was gonna do that and, like, some shakers and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And then I ended up just being like, "Nah, you know what? I'm gonna I'm going with the conga drums."
Mhm.
But yeah, I agree with you. Like, sometimes it's just like it just ends up being like what you kind of weren't planning on,
Yeah.
which is just strange how it works out. But
Yeah, I mean, that's just something that, your skill set, your education, and your ability to intuit what you know the song needs. I mean, that's me coming at it, just, listening to it several times and trying to understand the process that you went through, and just being, and again, like to your point earlier, yeah, at this point, I totally trust you, so go do it. I don't, it's like I love putting my faith in people who I know are going to get shit done. It's that easy, and you've excelled each time. And I think somebody in the chat or the Discord actually was like, "Yeah, I liked this one the best until the next one, until the next one." Each case has gotten to be my favorite too. So, yeah, this is definitely a pleasure. Thank you very much for doing this.
yeah, of
Um,
course.
yeah, and so I hope everybody enjoyed that, and just want to let you know that this is it for the very special live stream of the Lovecraft Tapes Case 15 theme music debut. Thank you, Crow, for that tip there. And if you like what you saw and heard tonight, please consider supporting the podcast at patreon.com/Lovecraft craft tapes. I can never get that through. Where just 30 minutes after we went live, which is like, I guess, in 5 minutes, the latest episode will have dropped to Patreon, folks. This early access version features the new theme music, as well as outtakes and other patron-only tidbits. Now, as a final surprise and thank you to Chris, I'm happy to announce that I will be matching all Ko-fi tips that were collected during this broadcast. So you've got approximately 60 seconds to get them in. All right.
Joke's on you. I'm going to donate.
Yeah, right. Yeah, cha-ching, cha-ching, cha-ching. Well, guys, I really appreciate you sharing this time with us, and thank you, Chris, for sharing your talents with us, because
Thank you for having
takes
me.
us to a whole new level, I must say. So, meanwhile, you can find me at discord.lovecrafttapes.com, where cast members chat in real time with fans and friends all the time. Chris, where can folks find you?
Well, you can find me on Twitter or Mastodon at I Swing a Bit More. I'm actually on the screen. I swing a bit more everywhere. Branding is important, folks.
Yep.
I
Nice.
also have a link tree. I swing a bit more everywhere. You know what? I
Twitch.
keep it simple.
Yeah, if you really want to
Twitch.
see a good deep dive, the actual creative process at work, subscribe to Chris's Twitch channel, where he performs that stuff. So that's very fascinating. I'm amazed that you could do it for that long. I'm here for your service. All right, guys. Well, until next time, roll for Oldenfield. All right. Have a great night.